for you, Jim. All right, John Atsukevich. But good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the 15th celebration of the William G. McGowan School of Business Forum and the 6th presentation of the Reverend James Lackenmier Award for Achievement and Leadership at King's College. All right. That's right, it is a celebration. My name is Freddie Pettit. I'm the Vice President for Institutional Advancement here at King's, and like so many of you in this room, I too am a product of the King's College mission. And what a privilege it is to be here in this moment, on this night, with each and every one of you. To see your faces, and for so many of you to know your names, and for so many others of you to learn your names. And I will tell you, as we prepare for this event each year, and as we prepared for the event this year, as we work through the list of names, you can't help but think with each of those names and each of those people, a story, a memory, the uniqueness of each and every one of you. And as you think about them cumulatively, you think of those lives and their stories, and you bring them all together, it becomes so very clear how extraordinary our community is. When you think of names like James and Tom and Jack, you think of giants in the history of our school. More than 38 years of leadership at the head of King's College. When you think of names like Remy and Anthony and Abby, I think of the young women and men who come here today seeking a mentor, seeking someone who can be a guiding light for them as they figure out their professional future. And when I think of Kathy and Mark and Nicole, I think of those alumni and friends who come back to do exactly that, to be that guide star, to provide a path forward. And when I think of Charles and Walter, Tom and Tony and Dan and Jared and Brendan, I think of men with hope to bring from the congregation of Holy Cross, without whom none of us would be doing this tonight. Tim, Rich, Alan, Glenn, Tom, and tonight Dave. I think achievement, and I think leadership, and I think people who embody the best of what King's College is and could be. And when I think of Savannah and Alexa and Annalisa and Desiree and Luke and Michaela and Elizabeth and Juan, I think of dreams, and I think of struggles, and I think of what you have done to help them overcome those struggles and realize their dreams. And when I hear their names and I see their names, I think of the hundreds of young women and men who came before them, and I envision the thousands who will follow. And when I think of Alex and Cameron and Madison, I think of the profound impact that you have had on their lives. When I think of their names, I think of you, and I think of the Presidential Hope Fund.
The Presidential Hope Fund was established in 2014, and for the past 5 years, it has been helping students just like me.
Before tonight, generous people like you have donated more than $1.26 million to the Presidential Hope Fund.
You have helped to support more than 400 students just like me. Thank you.
More than 600 direct gifts have been made to the Presidential Hope Fund.
Thank you for all that you do.
Approximately $1 million has been allocated to help students like me from the Presidential Hope Fund.
128 students have graduated so far, having received the Presidential Hope Fund. I've also received the Presidential Hope Fund, so thank you.
because of you, even more students could be helped by the Presidential Hope Fund. Let's get started.
What you just saw is how the Presidential Hope Fund changes lives. That is the story of more than 400 King's students and alumni. What you saw in that video, that's my story. Good evening. My name is Madison Hindmarsh. I stand before you as a proud alumna, as an excited new King's employee, and as a grateful recipient of the Presidential Hope Fund. I am a native of northeastern Pennsylvania. I graduated from Wyoming Area High School and became a Monarch in 2015. As a student at King's, I became very involved in campus life, participating in a lot of activities and working in a variety of offices. I found my passion during my internship experience with the Office of Admission. I loved being able to share my enthusiasm for King's with prospective students and their families. I realized then that higher education was where I saw myself after graduation, and I now work full-time with the admissions team. Each day, I have the privilege of helping to recruit the next generation of future Monarchs. Although I had an incredible time at King's, I also went through some really tough times. During the end of my junior year, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer, after already having one other form of cancer previously. Since that time, my mother has been fortunate enough to treat at one of the country's best cancer research centers, Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City. With weekly visits to New York for treatment, my family found ourselves struggling to afford both the costs associated with treatment for my mom and college tuition bills for both my brother and me. Then came the Presidential Hope Fund. Supporters of the Hope Fund, generous people like all of you, made it possible for me to finish my senior year during such a really hard time. You have all made such a big difference in my life. Sincere thanks to all of our sponsors this year for this year's event, with special recognition to our McGowan, Monarch, Gold, and Red sponsors. To each of you, please know that young Monarchs like me are so grateful for your support. Along with saying thank you tonight, we also want to celebrate. Congratulations to Attorney David Salingo for your recognition as the 2019 Lackenmier Award honoree. You have done so much for Monarchs like me. Please know that the King's College community appreciates you very much. And of course, we also appreciate the man for whom tonight's award is named, Father James Lackenmier, who served as the 7th president of King's College for 18 years. The college experienced tremendous growth under Father Lackenmier's leadership, including the founding of the William G. McGowan School of Business. We are honored to have him with us. Please join me in welcoming Father James Lackenmier.
Well, thank you, Madison, for sharing your story, your wonderful story. What a motivator you are, and what a motivation it is for us to be with you and with the other wonderful young people in this room. I want to thank Father Jack Ryan for the invitation to return to King's for the 2019 McGowan Business Forum, and to be with these incredibly talented King's students. It's always a thrill for me to come back to King's. It's a homecoming, really. And as I wandered around the club a little earlier this afternoon and looked in on the groupings of mentors and students, I remembered so well the many ways in which our alumni give back to King's, and the incredible resource they and their friends are to King's students. And even more do I remember how eager our students are to take the next step in their lives, how ready they are to meet the world and to make their mark. Students come to King's with big dreams, and by the time they leave, they are better equipped to realize them. And so mentors, alumni, friends, you help these students to get to prepare for that next step. It is a special honor for me to take part in this tribute to David Salingo. It is said that the law is a profession. I say that the law is a vocation. To be called to be a lawyer, is to be called to justice, to equity, to indiscriminate fairness. The law is not a respecter of persons or of privilege. It affords to everyone the benefit of even-handedness. To be a lawyer requires keen intellect, purity of motive, and personal and professional integrity. This is an ideal description, of course, but many set out to pursue it. Many King's alumni had their first thought of the law as a life's work when they were here as students, and many of them have lived up to the highest standards of that noble calling. And David, we think that you are one of those. Your reputation before the Pennsylvania Bar and the Luzerne County legal community is sterling. You've been recognized by professional associations and by your peers with honors. The one I like best is the Philadelphia Magazine's Pennsylvania Super Lawyer. Indeed, when they first noticed you in 2005, when you were earlier in your career, you were Pennsylvania Super Lawyer Rising Star. So David, your commitment to King's College has taken many forms. You've been a loyal alumnus, you served on the President's Council, you played a leading role in the founding of Kinship Square, which made possible the acquisition and the environmental remediation of the old McIntosh laundry eyesore on the degraded property on which O'Hara Hall now stands. And of course, O'Hara Hall is named for your mentor and my friend and successor, Father Tom O'Hara. Since 2012, you have been a member of the Board of Directors of King's College. At King's, board service is an extraordinarily important thing. As a board member, we look to you for guidance and counsel, and above all, to understand, to maintain, and to strengthen our commitment to the mission of this student-centered Catholic college and the Holy Cross tradition. All of us at King's are grateful for your support and your service. And it is a personal honor for me to have my name linked with yours in the conferral of this award for achievement and leadership. Well, 30 years ago, David, you crossed the stage to get your diploma. We shook hands and they took our picture. So tonight they'll take our picture again, and the time has been kinder to you. Well, it's time. I'm supposed to say the prayer, and my time has elapsed. So I'm going to lead us in the traditional Catholic table blessing. Bless us, O Lord, in these your gifts, which we are about to receive from your bounty through Christ our Lord. And in Holy Cross we add, whether you eat or drink, or whatsoever else you do all for the glory of God.
Thank you, Father Lackenmier. Thank you, Madison. Enjoy your meal. Okay, I hope everybody enjoyed their meal. How about a hand for the Westmoreland Club? I'd like to begin this part of the program by introducing two young friends of mine, two exceptional young monarchs, Alex and Cameron. When I first learned about these young men through others, and then initially after that through reading about them, at first glance they seemed to not have much in common. For example, one's from New Jersey, one's from Canada. One's an aspiring scientist, one's a budding business leader and lawyer. And I realized, like with anything in life, if we're looking for differences, we'll find them. But then I sat down and I began to talk with them and learn more about them, and I realized how much they really do have in common. And again, like anything in life, if we're looking for common ground, it's there to be had. So how are they similar? Well, first, they look pretty good in a suit. They dress up very nice. I usually see them with baseball caps or hockey jackets or something. They both make me look really, really old. But seriously and more importantly, When you speak with these young men, and they represent so many of our monarchs, they are driven, they are motivated, they have very big dreams, and they are working really, really hard to make them happen. And when, perhaps refreshingly, when you sit down with them and you talk with them, they are very quick and very ready to share thanks, to share credit. They talk about their professors. They talk about coaches. They talk about the people around the campus community who do so much for them, who push them, who motivate them, who dream bigger dreams even than they sometimes dream for themselves. And they both have taken full advantage of the opportunities provided to them here at King's College. And the last thing they have in common is they both can do a far better job of explaining to you the impact that you've had on their lives. First up, please welcome Alex.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lackenmier Romero. I'm a senior biology student here at King's, and hopefully I'm not the only person in STEM in the audience. This community has helped me and has played an important role in shaping my future and helping me become who I am today. In high school, I did not have access to science labs or AP courses. Because of this, I knew that coming into college, I would be at a disadvantage when compared to my peers. However, I knew that coming to a small school like King's, I could receive personalized attention that would help me grow and develop beyond those disadvantages. Since then, I have encountered nothing but caring and devoted professors who have helped me to grow and develop, both as a scientist and as a human being. The mentorship of such devoted professors like Dr. Frank Variel and Dr. Jessica Anderson have helped me to acquire the skills necessary to earn the Best in Science Award and be recognized as the top student in biology. Because of this investment in me, I am investing in others by founding and leading organizations dedicated to promoting scientific research among students. Although I have been successful at King's, the road has not always been easy or predictable. In fact, coming up with the funding for school has often been pretty difficult. The Presidential Hope Fund allowed me to stay at King's, and that is something I'm dearly grateful for. As a recipient, I make sure to do everything in my power to give King's a return on their investment. The year I received the Hope Scholarship, I applied for summer research fellowships and was accepted at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Johns Hopkins was ranked the top 5 hospital in the world and is considered by many to be the birthplace of neuroscience. As a budding neuroscientist, I had the ability to work side by side with some of the world's leading scientists and the best neurology department in the country. And next month, I will be presenting my work in Anaheim, California, in front of scientists from all over the country. And ultimately, my goal is to become a physician scientist specializing in Alzheimer's and making healthcare more accessible. I am so grateful to many people who have helped me get to this point in my life. For tonight, I would like to specifically recognize the Lackenmier Event Committee. And for our committee co-chairs, we have a gift to show our appreciation. Thank you. Tracy Salingo, Attorney Frank Hagan, and Father Tom O'Hara. Can you please stand? Now, please help me welcome my fellow monarch, Cameron.
Thank you, Alex. What an incredible story is all I have to say. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cameron Anklewich. A member of the class of 2021, I am a junior accounting and finance major who comes to King's College all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Now, you may be wondering, as I hear everyone say that, why in the world would a kid from Calgary come all the way to King's College in Pennsylvania? But the answer is quite simple: ice hockey. I am and have been a member of the King's College men's ice hockey team since the inaugural season in 2017, and was even able to etch my name into the record books early, scoring the first ever goal for our program. King's for me is home. I joke with my parents quite frequently now. They call the US home for me, as funny as that sounds for a kid from Canada. However, there have been times where I've been worried that I will not be able to return home to King's. I grew up in a household of 5 boys, and as such, funds have always been tight. Not necessarily just because of the grocery bill either. My parents would never want to hold me back from my dreams, especially that to play NCAA ice hockey. However, it can be financially challenging to support such an ambition, especially when they have 4 other boys trying to follow in my footsteps. Thankfully, when things began to get tight for my family, I became a Hope Fund recipient. The support of our wonderful community of alumni and friends, people like you, helped me stay at this school where opportunities are aplenty. For me, these opportunities have included a 12-week internship with Ernst & Young Calgary this past summer, and I'm pleased to say that after just my sophomore year, I've accepted a full-time position with the firm. I plan to earn my CPA before eventually wanting to pursue law. I'm so grateful to be a part of this community. And as a student in the McGowan School of Business, what an experience it was to be a part of the forum here today. On behalf of more than 80 students who benefited from the mentorship shared by King's alumni and friends, we thank you so very much. I would also like to express a sincere gratitude for the faculty and staff in the McGowan School of Business who work so hard throughout the year to support the students, especially on a night like this. A few of these special people are about to join us up here on stage. Please welcome Dean Barry Williams, Dr. Joan Blewett, and Professor Mark Leffler.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'm Dr. Joan Blewett, and I'm the faculty coordinator for the MSB Forum. And I hope that you've enjoyed this wonderful evening, and there's still lots more good stuff to come. It is truly my favorite event of the academic year because it's always held in a beautiful venue with wonderful food and people, and tonight we're honoring an outstanding graduate, Attorney Dave Salingo. This event brings together key members of the community of King's College and is a demonstration that we are fulfilling the mission of King's to teach students not only how to make a living, but also how to live. You might have noticed the students who are here this evening, and that's where I come in as the faculty coordinator. My role is to prepare students and coordinate the mentoring and networking aspects of the McGowan School of Business Forum. Earlier this evening, we had about 40 alumni and 84 students who would participate in mentoring sessions for about an hour and then in networking. This is the 15th year that we have had this forum, and it's hard to believe it's that long. We started with the really innovative idea of Father Jack Ryan and Mark Leffler and myself as a way to extend the learning of students beyond the classroom in an effort to build self-efficacy, social skills, communication abilities, and to develop their career interests by interacting with successful professionals who've often shared the same experience as undergraduates and went on to become successful and really proponents of the mission of King's. For our students, it is an evening of great experience, learning, and true understanding of what it means to be part of the King's College community. We see this program as a high-impact practice. Mentoring is the key element in the forum. For all of us here this evening, no matter your age or experience, we well recognize the true value of having and/or being mentors. Our parents tend to be our first mentors, but most would agree that multiple mentors throughout a lifetime can be tremendously helpful. At their very best, mentoring can be a life-altering relationship that inspires mutual growth, learning, and development. Mentors build you up. They teach you the unwritten rules that are rooted in wisdom and character, and most importantly, they encourage you. Mentors often see more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself, and they help to bring out the very best. As I look back on the mentors of my life, I feel tremendous gratitude, and I'm sure that many of you feel the same way as well. The forum has been a wonderful, successful event with many alumni often mentioning the experience years after they graduate. And a lot of our students tonight would say, I want to come back as a mentor once I make it, is how they put it. Many of the mentors here tonight, some for nearly every one of those 15 years, have been paying it forward. So to all the mentors tonight, please stand and be recognized for the valuable contribution you're making to our students, and accept my personal thanks for your commitment and contribution to the education of our students. Mentors, please stand. Now, you can't have a mentoring relationship without a mentee. So how about our students? They really look sharp, don't they? They look wonderful. But beyond that, you should know they've worked really hard to get here. They refine their resumes, they have to come to my preparation workshops and networking and executive presence. They rearrange their work and activity schedules to be part of the evening. Plus, most of them have just made it through midterm exams. A few last-minute changes came about just last night when we found out that key players in the men's soccer team had to play, and there were 7 or 8 of them, and can't they please come here? I said, as long as they shower and change, I'm good. So they are here with us this evening. Some are even driving to interviews tomorrow. So in light of that, to all my wonderful, wonderful students who make this all worth it, it's what the forum's all about, please, you stand to be recognized. Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the help of my dear friend Teresa Kinney in the Office of Career Planning, who's been very helpful, as well as Ginger Grieco and Michelle Prushinsky, who have so much in the administrative part of things. And also to my son, J.C. Blewett, who also helps me in many things. And very fact, and I have to share this with you, in less than 2 weeks, his wife, Megan, and J.C. will be blessing us with a baby boy, and I'll be a grandmother for the first time. I'm a little excited, can you tell? Okay, so now on to my very wonderful colleague, dear friend, and originator of this most amazing event. May I please introduce Professor Mark Leffler.
So it's clear that Joan Blewett is my favorite professor, clearly, and always has been. Before we start, I just have to say to the students, our students tonight, you look marvelous, darling. Very great. Let's give them a hand again. They deserve it. I'm so proud of you. You really look great. So it's hard to believe that it's been 3 years since we were last in this room, and we honored attorney Alan Kluger. It's lovely to see that attorney David Salingo is getting the same reaction. I guess Wilkes-Barre must love their lawyers, because you sold the room out again. You're a wonderful addition to the Lackenmier Award. You are worthy and a great honoree. You're kind and you're generous to King's College. I see you on campus often. Thank you very much for accepting this honor this evening. Thank you. Thank you. But I'm really here to introduce my boss, Dean Barry Williams. Barry joined the staff at King's College as an accounting professor in the fall of 1989. Long time ago, yes, right? Yeah, right. 22 years later, he followed Father Jack Ryan as the Dean of the Business School, the McGowan School of Business, or as it's also known, Accounting U. He's got great honors, and he's collected a lot of degrees. Bachelor of Science in Accounting. I think that was from this side of the town, right? We won't talk about that. An MBA, a Master's in Taxation, and a Juris Doctor. He's also a lawyer. Where am I? Under his guidance, we have successfully achieved AACSB reaccreditation 4 times. 4 times. That's a really difficult task. And each time without remark. So it is a next 5 years. It's really remarkable, especially when you consider that we have a small faculty staff, right? 19 or 20 full-time people. And yet he manages to pull this together and meet all the very strict restrictions that we have to get by. Congratulations, Barry, and thank you. I asked him, by the way, what was his proudest moment? And he said, probably marrying Flo. But other than that, he said, the answer really is, I'm excited about transitioning the McGowan School of Business to a 21st century model for education in the United States. The true value add for a business school degree lies in developing future business professionals that can engage with various technology platforms, then find meaning in the data based on the understanding of the business and various stakeholders, and then employ that in their decision making. We're not going to chase the data degree. We're not going to build data scientists. We're in fact going to introduce technology touch points into the classroom across the entire curriculum. We will not abandon our pedagogy to do something that's current. Instead, we will help our students to gain the skills to be value-added employees from day one as they join organizations. And you can see from tonight, they join a lot of organizations. They all get jobs, and we're all very proud of them. So we'll be developing ways to incorporate this across the entire curriculum. It is now my pleasure to say thank you again to everybody here and to introduce my boss, Dean Barry Williams.
Thank you, Mark, for those kind words. The only thing he failed to mention was in 1989 when I joined King's, I was only 12 years old. And that's okay, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, welcome everybody tonight. I'm very happy to see you all here, and this is a really wonderful, wonderful event. The first thing I would like to do is thank and congratulate David Salingo on being our honoree for the evening. Last year, David and I had embarked on an interesting journey at King's. Dave was a trustee and myself working with him on enrollment management, which was a new experience and hopefully a past now experience, but we worked together on that. And I can tell you, when I learned that he was going to be the honoree tonight, it did my heart good, because in that experience working with David, I found him to actually live and believe in the mission of King's College. And that, to me, means a lot. When I look at the award he's getting tonight, the Reverend James Lackenmier CSC Award for Achievement Leadership, I also think of my longtime friend, Father Lackenmier, who's here again this evening. And I thank you so much for lending your name to this event and this award, and for all the things that you've done for students over the years and have been a role model for many. And thank you very much for doing that. This evening we started, we were here at 4:30 taking some pictures on the steps, and we began the annual William G. McGowan School of Business Forum. And it was mentioned earlier, we had 84 students here for engaged mentoring sessions. This is, as Joan Blewett had said, this is so important in the lives of the students to be able to come to events like this. And it is transformational in what happens to them. One of the other parts of this is how distinctive this is in relation to what they receive or other people view as state-of-the-art in providing these transformational experiences. As Mark Leffler said earlier, we have gone through 4 rigorous AACSB reviews to maintain our accreditation. And those 4 reviews result in a continuing accreditation over 20 years for a school that is one of the smallest schools in the world to be accredited by AACSB. And it is a tribute, and I will divert from what Mark said to say that it is actually a tribute to the faculty, staff, administration, and students for what they do to keep our college where it is today, not only for the people who are there, but for the people who will come in the future. The future students of King's College benefit from this. And when I talk about distinctiveness, when we had our last site visit, the team came, and one of the things they commended the college for was the fact that we run events just like this, and more than one event. And the way we do it is we do not bring 6 or 10 students that we pick to stand up and speak. We brought 84 students. We bring a substantial number of students to be engaged in the mentorship opportunities of the evening, which continue right now as they sit at dinner with you. That is so important, and it is distinctive in higher education when you're running opportunities like this. And when we thank Teresa Kinney from Career Planning, we're one of the few schools that has a professional development program led by our executive in residence, Mark Leffler, to help develop the students through their time at King's. And they can come into the dean's office and meet with Ginger Greek or Michelle Prushinsky, who can provide them with information that many times students don't even know who the dean is or would never go to see them. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, whose idea for creating this transformational experience for students has made this all possible and brought us all here together. Father Jack Ryan.
Thank you, Barry. When Freddie began this evening, and we don't read each other's talking points, and he said, when you hear the names Jim and Tom and Jack, what crosses your mind? Well, what crossed my mind was Mouseketeers. On the wall of my office hangs a picture that reads, McGowan School hits the street. The street in that picture was Wall Street. The students in that picture are those who attended the very first McGowan School of Business Forum. That picture was taken 15 years ago, and some of those students in that picture are now in this audience. In this audience as mentors, as hope bearers. That night in October of 2005, it was born from a very simple idea. The idea of bringing together our students with mentors. Mentors who had traveled a path similar to the one our students were then on. Mentors who may have come from backgrounds very much like those of our students. Mentors who may have come from King's College and perhaps taken the same subjects with the same professors as our students were doing then. Mentors who had successfully navigated a career path and achieved some of their life's goals. Mentors who would sit down with them as an older sister or brother might do and share their story. Share their story so that our students might say to themselves, I too can achieve similar things. Share their story so our students may gain confidence to persevere longer and harder that they too might otherwise may have done. Mentors who would increase hope in our students. Hope is not an idle wish, as in, I hope it works out. Hope is a belief in the strong probability that an outcome is possible, even likely, if one works hard enough and long enough and wise enough and is fortunate enough to receive some help along the way. That simple idea 15 years ago contained another element: to bring our students to a high-end venue, a first-class social and professional space where our students could begin to feel comfortable. Yes, they too belonged in such a setting. That space, in 2005, was made possible by a man who was with us that night and is with us this night as well. A faithful friend, a dedicated and generous supporter, Eberhard Tim Faber. Thank you, Tim. In October of 2005, Tim gained us access to the Princeton Club in New York City. Princeton, Tim's alma mater. This night's event has expanded and evolved over the years, becoming for us a premier event. The Father Lackenmier Award for Achievement and Leadership was added to recognize outstanding role models for our students, role models like Dave Salingo. Added to provide additional financial support to our students through the Hope Fund. Hope is not simply a spoken word. Hope is not simply a written word. Hope is made alive by flesh and blood people, hope bearers, people who in very concrete ways provide hope for others, hope bearers like those of you in this audience, people with hope to bring, hope bearers like Dave Salingo, husband, father, friend, attorney, community supporter, King's director, and more. It is my honor to present a short video on the more of Dave Salingo. It is sometimes said that you can live a few weeks without food, a few days without water. But I suggest to you that it's impossible to live at all without hope.
There's nothing more important than mentorship, I think, in life. And I think the Hope Fund is a form of mentorship. But that shows how strong the King's community is, that they recognize these two needs, mentorship and the Hope Fund, that some people may have things that are uncontrollable that could take their dreams and their career off track.
There's so many students out there, and their situations are totally unique. Every student has different characteristics, different needs. Last year, we actually started the Hope Fund textbook program. That might be the only aspect that they actually need help with. This year we implemented meal plan as an option, and then also housing as an option. You know, they could be in a safe environment and make sure they can put all their focus actually into their studies as well.
In so many ways, I think David personifies what's best about King's College. He has that determination, he has that passion, you can see it in his personality. He has a sense of drive, a sense of conviction. Those are the kind of qualities we want for King's College students and alumni. People who feel passionate about justice and who work for it.
I think Dave is very dedicated to King's because he's appreciative of the start that it gave him to his professional career. Dave works hard. Dave is an astute individual, but I think Dave understands that he got a good, strong start here and tries to give back.
Dave is such a special person. He has this ginormous heart. If anyone's ever heard him laugh, he laughs from his toes almost. It's like a very loud laugh that he has, but it fills a room. And that's just him. It's the way he is with all parts of his life.
When I see in the logo transformation, that really resonates with me because I was transformed when I came here. We all need something from each other. It's not, look, we don't need to have somebody holding our hand every day, but there are occasions in our lives when we either need advice or we need a little push or we need a little assistance. Whether it just be, showing us the way or maybe a financial help.
Especially that King's College student that's really integrated in our community, that's really making a voice for themselves, that's really going out and doing maybe internships, those kind of things. We want to make sure that that student stays at King's. We want to make sure that that student feels like they're part of the King's College community and that we really want them here as well. So it's really that extra topper, that really helps those students to make sure that they can be successful or that they really feel like that somebody's there to back them up.
I think Dave has a daily struggle with whether he wants to be a lawyer or a builder. And I say a builder because at the core, Dave's seeing buildings get built in our community. And I put this together for Dave. It says on the front, Dave the Builder, because that's what he is. It acknowledges his contributions to King's College and is always, yes, we can attitude. So Dave, keep on building, because when you do, King's College and our community at whole benefits.
Being involved in King's affairs today really grew out of Father O'Hara. We became very aware of some of the problems that were occurring around the campus. This neighborhood, which had been so vibrant at one time, was starting to fall into disrepair. So what we did was we were able to get a grant to knock down the buildings and make a buildable site. And with private funds, built O'Hara Hall.
So I like to think tonight we celebrate the Hope Scholarship that transformed individual lives. David Salingo transformed North Main Street.
I think Dave has a very soft spot for King's. Dave started out by working real hard to get where he is today. His ability to get a great education, get into law school, I think he really feels that King's played a great role in that.
Any student that wants to stay on the campus, that's a good student and seeks our support, deserves that support. I think it's one of the best programs that we have here at King's, and it really is the spirit of King's College.
Students are in a special place here at King's, and what a beautiful way to help students who are doing all the right things and just, run into one of life's many hiccups. But a lot of times that reason is so that people can know how supported they are, how loved they are.
The cross is the suffering in life. The cross is the pain in life. The cross is something where you think you're at a dead end. And so to call this the Hope Scholarship is perfect for the Congregation of Holy Cross, because that's what we believe. We believe that when you get to the point where you have deep, deep struggle and you're not sure you can do it, you're not sure you can overcome it, that's where hope enters your life.
to all those through whose prayers and financial support you make hope possible to our students. Thank you. Dave, please join us.
Wow. I'm surprised at Father Ryan speaking to me because I literally call him or email him every single day. And to make sure that he said something nice about me, I didn't do that for the last week. But look out tomorrow, Father. I am humbled and honored to receive the Reverend James Lackenmier Award. Father Lackenmier, you're a legend here. You bridged the gap between the old King's College from the late 40s, the 1950s, the 1960s, and the early 70s, to what the new King's College is that you saw in that video today, from the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. Father O'Hara and Father Ryan have continued what you have started here. You are a true leader and have really given this college a great start. Thank you so much. I am so honored to be associated with you. When this award was announced, a lot of people called me, emailed me to give me congratulations. And almost everybody also gave me advice. And the advice was, keep the speech short. As a matter of fact, Tim Morris, the award's first winner, said to me, look, Bowie Kuhn, the baseball commissioner, once said, and apropos to this time of year, there's never been a bad short speech, and there's never been a good long speech. So, because this is a mentorship program tonight, I'm going to listen to Tim, the first award winner, and I'll keep this as short as possible. Mentorship is helping. That's its essence. It could be advice, or it could be monetary contributions. And that is what we're celebrating tonight with the mentorship program with the business school and the Hope Fund. My first mentor and mentors were my parents, James and Kamala Slingo. My parents, by example and by setting boundaries, mentored me. And if I could describe my parents in one word, it would be generous. Thank you, guys. My current mentor is my great wife, Tracy, of 23 years. She puts up with a lot. She really does. She solves problems, she listens to my problems, all while juggling about 6 careers and raising our 2 boys, Jake and Henry. And you make it look easy. Thank you, Tracy, I love you. Also, another 2 great mentors of mine are Jake and Henry, who are sitting right in front here. You think, when you're their age, they think they know everything, and we know nothing, our age, especially if you're their parent. And they dig me with some jokes every once in a while, and they keep it real. And they give me perspective. And that's really important. You guys are the best. But in addition to our family and our close friends, we all have a time in our life where you could point to somebody and some event that changes you. And that event in my life happened here at King's College. I came out of high school, local high school, in 1985, and I skated through high school. I wasn't a great student. I really didn't care too much. My first year here at King's, I really didn't study hard. I did decent, but not great. But I knew I wanted to graduate from King's in 4 years, and I wanted to go to law school. That was my goal. My sophomore year, I hit a class that was a political science class. And it was taught by a professor known as Father Thomas O'Hara. I think some of you have heard of him. I got my first paper back, and it had more red on it than black. And Father O'Hara called me up to the front of the class at the end, and he sat down and talked to me. And he said, David, I know you want to become a lawyer, but you're never going to become a lawyer with this type of work. I know you can do better. I know you have it in you. And normally up to that time, I would just try to get through the class, take an easier course next semester, get my GPA up. But there was something about Father O'Hara that changed me. Sometimes it's the motivator, sometimes it's the motivation. I don't know what it was, but I wanted to prove to him that I could do what he thought I could do. And I finished that class with a good grade. Not a great grade, maybe, it was a good grade. And I took him again the next semester. And then I took some of the other professors that I heard challenged you, like Father Looney, like Father Grasso, who's here tonight, like Chris Decker, who's here tonight, like Judge Joe Cosgrove, who's here tonight. And they prepared me. They changed me and they got me ready. And it's because of them that I was able to get into law school. I never would have done it without them. That's it. You're probably saying, Salingo, what do you mean? That's the end of the speech? That's it? No. No, that's it. That's the answer to the question I get all the time. Why do you spend so much time at King's? Why do you go to King's and do what you do at King's? That's the answer. It's not easy to just say yes or no to that question. Sometimes I get looked at kind of strangely. Why are you doing this? That's why. I think I could take my entire life and never pay King's back for what I got from King's. And that's why when Father O'Hara became president and came to me and said, David, we need help with this neighborhood. And we went to some other alumni and we asked them for their help. And we needed to clean it up because parents would not drop their children off at King's because they thought it was too unsafe. And we needed to make it better. And we did. With the help of a wonderful individual who's sitting here tonight, Dave Yeager, who brought in the private funds and was the developer. Thank you, Dave. With the help of Kinship Square, one of the founding members was Gert McGowan. You saw her on the video. Thank you, Gert. With Frank Hagan, great, great friend of mine, who's also on Kinship Square, helped out a lot on the project. And current member and former roommate of mine, John Peretti, who's on Kinship Square to help out. These are the individuals that took an interest and wanted to help so that this school could thrive and build on what Father Lackenmier started in bringing the modern King's College about. So to me, when you say transformation on that video, or in the logo, it means a lot. So it's unbelievable to see how many people are here. You don't usually get your friends and family in a room like this. And I just can't believe the outpouring that is here. I love it. Thank you so much. It's great. It's great for this outpouring, but it's also great to honor all these students behind us, and all the mentees that were part of the mentorship program today. Thank you for coming out for all of them. But I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize my in-laws, Rich and Maria Burns. If I had to interview for the in-law position, I couldn't find anybody better. Thank you. And also, mention my brother who's sitting right in front of me. New York Times best-selling author, almost done with his third book. Go out and find it. He is one of the foremost consultants on higher education in the country and speaks around the world, in Europe, the Middle East, and China. Thanks, Jeff, for being here. I really appreciate it. And barely in the room over there are my partners, Judge Joe Cosgrove and Carl Gugliardo. Carl, thanks for staying. I wouldn't be able to do what I do at King's without them picking up all the slack. Thank you, guys. And finally, I mentioned one of my roommates, John Perenni, but also Brett Rothrock, Paul Vasquez, and Dave Rizzuto, who are here tonight. You know, when I met you guys 35 years ago, I never imagined you'd be these lifelong friends that I have. Thank you so much. So just one quick story. Alan Kluger, who was the last recipient in Wilkes-Barre of this award, he called me after he found out that I was receiving this award. And he said, David, get in your car and come over to see me in my office. And Alan's in his 90s. He's still practicing law. He practices, starts at about 6, maybe 5 in the morning. And when he calls you and says that he wants to see you, it's something important. So I got in my car, and I think I met with him about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And he sat with me for an hour, and he told me how important this award was to him and how much it meant to him. And the other, I just noticed this. The other thing that he said to me is he shared with me this great phrase. And I'm going to read it, but I'll never forget it. Success is getting what you want, while happiness is wanting what you get. In that spirit, I thank King's for allowing me to serve the school and the community for what King's has been gracious enough to define as success and leadership. What has been defined as success in the eyes of King's is happiness in my eyes. For this, and to my wife, children, and parents, and everyone in this room that has shared their Thursday night with us, many of my close friends and colleagues, and all of you who have journeyed through life with me, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here.
Dave has been an extraordinary honoree. For all the passion you feel from him, he's been like that from the day that Father Jack called him to invite him to accept this award, up to and through this afternoon when he was checking on table counts and he was checking on. But we wanted to take a moment after Dave to recognize him and to recognize all of the support that this event has generated. Funds raised directly through this event and also to the Hope Fund in recent time have generated $328,528 for the president. Your generosity will have an enormous impact on young women and men like this and so many more to come in the future. And so while we're preparing to close the program in true King's fashion, we continue to celebrate. We invite you to the after party, which will take place upstairs. That's true, by the way. There actually is an after party. It's a King's party, and we're glad to have you here. So we'd love to have you upstairs, which is sponsored by the Northeastern Pennsylvania Alumni Club. But to really bring home the program, at King's College, we often conclude our programs with prayer and with song. So I invite to the stage Associate Professor of Theology, Father Dan Issing, and I invite to the stage a member of the college choir, Kyle McKiernan. Please welcome them to the stage.
I'm doing the praying part. Let us pray. May the glory be yours, O God, this night, for the smiling and affable Dave Salengo. His career representing victims, his contribution to the common good, his fidelity as husband and father, his witness to a life that is more than making a living. Praise be to you, O God, this night for our beloved King's College, our strong leaders like Father Lackenmier, Father O'Hara, and Father Ryan, our current board of directors, generous friends and benefactors who look out for those unable to pay for college, as to the Presidential Hope Fund, inspired alumni who provide opportunity and assistance to students of the now, our hopeful presence as a light of learning in Wilkes-Barre. May honor be yours, O God, this night for our education of body, mind, and heart in the Holy Cross tradition, our magnanimous faculty, our munificent staff and courageous administrators, our wondrous, talented, and lovely students. Bless us, O God, this night, always to be grateful for our remarkable mission, always to be attentive to the development of minds and hearts, always to trust the great things that can happen when, with prayer, we welcome your collaboration. And as always, Lord, protect the poor and those who live on the street this night. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please join me in singing the alma mater. Hail our royal regent, thy sovereign name we praise. King of earth and heaven, watcher of our ways, we're forever loyal, ever proud to sing the glories of the school we cherish. Hail to Christ the King. Thank you and good night.